word. Oh, I spelled that completely wrong. Rickets. IAC. Oh, okay, so it's a type of bacteria that comes from ticks or fleas. Yeah, ticks or fleas. It looks like fleas. So we don't have fleas here. We don't even have any animals. So if you have that, you got that on your own, good sir. However, actually, so that's talking about a disease from a type of flea. My son keeps saying, this is something I'm going to go over in the next video, that he keeps seeing a cat that scares him. Cats can have fleas. So he keeps saying he sees this ghost cat in the house. He woke up from screaming his head off a few nights ago, saying that the ghost cat scared him. Oh, dire. What does that mean? Sorry, guys. I know I keep exiting out and doing this, but I'm really curious. So it's Latin. Appears to be present, I guess. So present. Okay. So I was just talking about a ghost cat, and it says adire in Latin. So that's really weird, because none of us here speak Latin. And Latin, as you guys know, is the original language that the Bible was written in. So Latin is what priests use to exorcise demons. Whenever you hear exorcisms on TV, or you see them happen on TV, they're doing it in English. But the reason why those, don't work as well, or they take longer, is because Latin is the language you want to do it in. Latin, is the original language of Christ. So this is really interesting to me that I'm getting the word response here in Latin that means present. And I was just talking about the ghost cat that likes to scare my son. So I'm glad I haven't given up on this app yet, because now that's intriguing. I'm going to take a break from this for a second, though, and we'll be ill-being. Okay. So I don't even know if this thing's supposed to put out 2 words. That's a hyphenated word. Ill-being. So the ghost cat is ill-being. In other words, it means ill. It means us harm, or it's going to make us sick. Is that what you're saying? So I will figure out how to pronounce that, but it looks like rickets saucier, and then odire, and ill-being. So what it's saying is the bacteria from fleas is present ill-being. So that's actually kind of a pretty convincing little conversation there. Ill-being. What do you mean by ill-being? Rolling. And now it just seemed to spit out a random word. Okay, guys, you did not just see that, but I saw it. Sorry, I almost choked on my root beer when I saw that. So it said odire, which is present. Ill-being, then it said rolling. I shit you not. I'm watching the baby monitor. It said rolling, and my son just rolled over. Like, directly after it said it. He hasn't moved this whole time that, or once he moved, but it was more like a stretching of his arms. This thing said rolling, and he rolled over. Am I talking to the spirit that represents itself as a ghost cat that scares my son? Abronia. Okay, so lizards. All right. Abronia. You know what? Oh, what? Okay, what is that? I have no idea what that even means. Causadical. Let's see, causadical. Make sure I'm spelling that right. Causadical. Okay, it doesn't even appear to be a word. Causadical. Okay, so causadical. That could be what it means, pertaining to advocate or to the maintenance and defense of suits, meaning cause and law. Okay, so advocate or pleading to defense of suits. So advocating or pleading to the defense of suits. So are you defending yourself, saying that you have the right to be here? Is that what you're saying? Come on. You've been talking to me. Alright guys, I'm gonna step outside real quick. I'm trying my best to quit smoking. I'm down to 3 cigarettes a day. So I'm going to have my third, and this will be my last one for the night. So yay me, I'm making great progress. I'm down from, I only smoke about a pack a week now. But still, gotta kick the habit, right? So causadical. I wonder if this thing can communicate with me when I'm outside. So I'd like to say I thought it was quite coincidental that we're talking about the cat. And I said Odir, then I said ill being, then I said rolling, then I said Abronia. And now I don't know what this is supposed to mean. But in defense or suit of, maybe it's defending the fact that it's allowed to be here. And that almost in a way makes me want to poke the bear and say you're not allowed to be here. But I don't...
We're cheers.
I don't feel that's the route to go right now. Dachshund? Okay, so that's either the dog, a dachshund, or this thing is now speaking German. Let's see, dachshund. Yeah, it's a dog breed, okay. That's what I thought it was saying. If you guys didn't know, I have an ex-sister-in-law who is full-blooded German, so I have learned a little bit of German. So if this thing comes through and speaks German, I will be able to recognize the language. I can't say I know exactly what it's trying to say. So hang on. Dachshund. And it said that word that I cannot pronounce really with the flea disease and then ill-being. Is there a connection there? Maybe. Defunct. You know what? I'm not so sure what that means, but this app is not quite defunct yet. The only reason I'm still testing it is because of that really weird correlation of words we had. Because I'm not going to lie to you guys, before we got that really weird correlation of words, I was going to go ahead and end the app test. But what really got me convinced was when it said rolling, and then I watched my son roll over in the baby monitor. So what's defunct? And god damn, it's cold out here. Just another reason to quit smoking, right? I don't smoke in my house. The only kind of smoke that goes around my house is sage. has been. Talked about the sage, and it says has been. Yes, the house has been saged multiple times. I try to make it a habit of doing that at least once every 4 or 5 months. Especially during spring cleaning. Spring cleaning is one of the best times to sage your house because you're already getting rid of all the clutter. You might as well take the energy with it. Alright, so far, this app has been quite intriguing, I'm not gonna lie. I can't discredit the correlation of words that we had. It was talking about an illness that was born from fleas. My son was seeing a ghost cat, as we discussed, and he's been seeing that for probably a year now. And, you know, since he's been able to talk, he tells me about it all the time. Several months ago, I actually came out into the kitchen and I saw the hind end of a cat jumping off the counter, which is really funny because we don't have a cat. So didn't know exactly what to think about that. However, it does correlate with his stories and what he's saying. And then we have the ill being, and that's talking about a dachshund, which is a form of dog. And, you know, dachshunds can get fleas. So we're getting these correlating responses now that are quite intriguing to me. And I was going to stop the app test. And I was going to say, hey, this app is just spitting out random words from a generator. But to be honest with you, now I'm not so sure, and I want to continue testing it. So let's get it. Okay, you've been keeping pretty decent communication, and I appreciate that. Now, when you made the defense of being causodiacal, meaning, you know, you're allowed to be here, if you are not a friendly spirit, you are not allowed to be here. And I will ask you to leave. How will you like that? God, I hate asking that kind of stuff in my house. But as a paranormal investigator, I have to. Angiography. That word sounds really familiar. I'm sorry guys I keep doing this, but I like for you guys to know that I know what's going on. Sees how blood flows through your arteries. Okay. So, angiography is saying that... Okay, that's kind of weird. I don't know what an angiography would have to do with anything.
We're cheersing the marriage.
Other than I have been experiencing some back pain lately that's like around the lung area. But I think it's just back pain. I think I tweaked a muscle at work. So I'm not going to read too much into that. But if it does know that I have pain going on right now, maybe it's telling me, hey, you need to go get an angiography, which would be kind of scary considering that has to do with the arteries and the blood flow. So I'm just going to ignore that. Can you tell me a name? I've not yet seen a name come up on this thing. Containerized. Okay, that has zero relevance. I assume containerized is going to mean things being in a container. But I guess, you know, when all else fails, Google it. So run in a discrete environment set up with an operating system specifically and allocated to essential resources or packed into a transport container. So angiography, containerized, that could, and this is a stretch here guys, but bear with me, deal with some kind of medical procedure. If you have to have a transplant from an angiography saying that you have some kind of a bad artery going on, then they would have to containerize the artery on ice and transport it to give you some kind of replacement. But an angiography would be needed to tell that. But once again, that's just speculation, and it's just my mind kind of trying to piece together the words that we're getting here to make sense of them. It still has not told me a name. All right, so I'm going to walk. There's a really weird noise coming from the staircase. It sounded like someone was coming down the stairs, but I can look at the baby monitor and tell everyone's asleep, so there's no one coming down the stairs. It could have very well been the gerbil, though. We cleaned out his cage today and gave him all kinds of new toys. Oh, yeah, it's the gerbil. He's messing with something over here. What are you doing, Maui? Yes, the gerbil's name is Maui. The shape-shifting trickster god. And believe it or not, even though Moana is a kids movie, it was based off of an actual deity. So, yeah, there's that. Reading. Yes, I read quite a bit. Do you like to read? Are you telling me that you like to read? I really wish this thing had a captured word database. That's why I really hate the fact that I have to screenshot these. Because now I can go back through when I do my final analysis and look at some of this stuff. I wish that it had the word database. Like, not the word database itself, because it obviously has a word database. I mean, like, you can go back and look at what's said, not just the last 4 words in the current word. Yeah, this one's definitely going to need some background music, because this thing could have at least put a little bit of effort in and gave you some kind of sound, at least the words, you know, at least let the program read the words out so you could audibly hear them.
We're cheersing the merrymaker.
Conciliatory. I think I know what that means, but let's go to Google. Intended or likely to palisade or pacify. Okay, what are you trying to pacify? Are you saying that reading pacifies me? Or does reading pacify you? Look, you've got to give me some kind of relevant response here. I want you to tell me your name. I want you to tell me a name. Can you make a name show up on the screen? So I will say though, overall so far, I like the functionality of the app, and the lack of noise actually isn't a bad thing, because as much as I wish they would have put some kind of noise into this, I can actually hear what's going on around me. So as I'm hearing what's going on around me, I can tell if there's a noise upstairs that I don't recognize, or coming down the staircase as just what happened a few minutes ago. And it kind of does help me know where I want to walk to try and investigate. I obviously don't want to go upstairs. I wish I could go to the attic. The basement is currently blocked off by a steam cleaner and some other stuff that my girlfriend has stored over there, so I can't go down to the basement at the moment either. WordNet. Yeah, kind of feels like the last few responses have been nothing but something from some kind of WordNet or a collection of words that are stored in a database. So maybe WordNet.
We're cheersing the merrymakers.
Oh, the ads aren't too bad. There's not too many of them, but there's enough to annoy you. Alright guys, I think I have enough on this app that I'm going to go ahead and end this test, and I'll give you my final conclusion. So that was the Real Ghost Detector by Jim Stevens. Overall, guys, the layout and the way the app functions is very well done. The actual compass on the app, as you guys saw when I went to my compass on my iPhone, it seems to function as it's supposed to. It actually does correlate with the direction that you're actually facing. Few issues, very few. So issue number one, the lack of background music. It's not really as much of an issue as it just makes everything extremely quiet. And when you're doing an app test like this, it's not necessarily a good thing because people want to be entertained. They don't want to be bored to hell by just a bunch of silence. But I can guarantee you, it's better than a bunch of random fucking beeping in your ear. So thank God for that. The way that the radar functions, we kept getting words, but never once when we received the words did I see a blip of activity on the actual radar itself. But I thought that was the point of the app, was you saw a blip on the radar, you went to it and you attempted to communicate. We were getting random words coming through without any sort of blip on the actual radar itself. The two blips that we did see that were purple were far off and I could not get to them within the extent of my house. So does that part of the app really function as it's supposed to? I can't say it does, but I can't say it doesn't. I can say that it did not seem to function the way that I would have expected it to. Now, the words. Do I wish that the app had a phonetic generator that would speak the words? Yes, because it would make it more interesting and I could actually sit the device down and walk away from it and listen for words, giving the spirits more of an enticing way to come forward and speak, because sometimes they don't want to come near you. So they want you to sit the device down and walk away so they can go near the device without going near you. However, if I did that, I wouldn't know of any of the words that were being spoken at that point in time unless I was close enough to read the screen, which may still be too close for a spirit to want you to be to modify the device to speak to you. So those parts of the app, not a fan of. However, I think the app itself works decently. Does it need a little tweaking? Yes, absolutely. Am I going to say that this is an app that you don't need in your paranormal toolbox? Based off of the correlations that I was getting when I was talking about the ghost cat, and then it came up with the word like ricassae or something like that. I can't even pronounce it, but it's a disease caused by fleas. And you know what? Cats can get fleas. So then it said ill-being, and it said a few other things that seemed to correlate along with that conversation. I don't remember them all right off the top of my head because I was there in the moment at that point in time. And then the spot where it said rolling, and I watched my son roll over in the baby monitor. So how did it know that he was about to roll over? Did it say rolling and then it maybe touched him or shook the bed enough to wake him up to roll over? That's possible. I don't know. I wasn't up there to feel the bed shake, but I do think it's quite too much of a coincidence that it said rolling and he pretty much instantly rolled over. So is this an app that you want to avoid? No. I think this is an app you should download. I think you should test it out. Give it a shot. It's free. What's the worst it's going to hurt? It's not going to hurt your bank account. It's not going to hurt your pride if it doesn't work. It's free. What I can tell you is that I got responses that seem to correlate with one another as far as a line of conversation. Not necessarily a line of direct response, but the app did overall seem to function as advertised. So there you have it, guys. My final conclusion of the Real Ghost Detector by Jim Stevens. Download it. Give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen? The worst is nothing's going to happen. You're just going to get a bunch of words coming out of a generator. The best that can happen is you might catch something really astounding. Guys, that's what I got for you tonight. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Share the video if you found it informative. This is Nate signing out. I'll see y'all next app test.